we'll start with events and never mind.
We already
Hello,
Hello, everyone.
people.
Welcome to the 96th episode of DevKami, and we lost fast.
Yeah. So
And-
I'm Suming.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Ivy.
I'm
Yeah.
Chi Leong, and we have the
Fast.
on the frozen screen up there is actually fast.
Yes.
So he'll come back
So-
soon, I believe.
Yep. Correct. Let's start with our.
Yep.
Yeah.
Of all the evenings, the internet has to go bad today. Wow.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
It's
So,
just like when we do demos.
Yeah. Murphy's Law.
So let's start. Today is 19. Tomorrow. We actually got a day early for reasons, but let's not worry about that. So let's talk about events. On
What do we
Friday,
have?
we have going Club Native. This is actually a UC Tech Club and AWS Student Ambassador, which I now realize exists. So this is happening on Monday online from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. If you go to devkami.com/events/meetups, you will definitely see the link that actually to sign up.
Let me share the
Then
screen.
on
I hope it doesn't
Yes.
freeze my computer.
Yep.
Okay. It's going to happen.
Then on Saturday, we have Learn Flutter Together. This is an event by Women Who Code KL. So you'll be again. This is online. It's a private Facebook group and all
Is
that.
it via Women Who Code?
Yes.
Oh, Women Who Code. Wow, then they actually have this as well.
Yes.
Uh,
They're also
they are-
called event.
yeah, they are rolling it. So
They're more proactive than we are.
yeah.
Definitely. At least they're covering .NET also, so
Yeah.
that's good.
You can see the size of my tummy to know how active I am.
So at the same time, there's a .NET Core study group
at
as
night
well. Yes, this at
with these
night.
things.
Then it's still online and all that, so you can definitely go to the page. find
Ignore
the
the Go
links.
Mali. We have
Yeah.
no Go Mali. We have Go meet up. Who's the organizer? I hate his suck.
Yeah. Then of course we had the Art of Flutter. I do not know who does this. Hopefully the creator will add the event soon. Then
Yeah, he did.
on
I think
our-
Devin actually shared
I
it
think
in the
it's-
group.
I think
Yeah.
it's Kevin that I don't know, somehow related to that.
And of course, I thought the software architecture community, which I thought happening this week, I think it's not happening next week.
Yeah.
August
Yeah,
26th.
now it's moved to next week and it's gonna happen no matter what. So
Yeah.
come
But
what may.
I cannot stop myself from saying it. The to practice sarcom, is that what do you call like the practice of sarcasm?
Yeah.
Practice software architecture community. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So,
So it's actually a branch from Indonesia.
look at this. Look at this. We have
Yes.
we have our
Of
familiar
course,
names.
this guy.
Tom saying.
Yes.
Yes.
Familiar names.
And-
It's like the old people
and
coming back
especially-
again.
This is the most important one because it's here.
Yes. It's like McCartney of the tech scene of Malaysia.
Wow. Thanks, flattered.
Yes.
And then that's about it for next week.
Yeah, that's about it for Merdeka Week next week. So let's talk about news. What's interesting? I have one, as usual. Can you open? Never mind. I'm gonna share the link. So there is a community of there's a data standard working group for Python data API standard. So in Python, we have multiple ways to actually work with data. The common one is let me split my screen. The common
Oh, I
one is
forgot. I should-
pandas, but within
I should actually share to the Facebook group, right? So let me share.
yeah, correct. Let me share my screen. This could take a while. I'm so sorry. So they have multiple ways to share data, and they don't always talk to each other. TensorFlow have their own way, PyTorch have their own way, NumPy have their own way, Pandas is on top of NumPy, etc. There is multiple ways to access data. Not everyone is 100% compatible with each other. So now we actually have a working group for the Python data API standards, so that we have one nice way for us to actually.
More standard is good.
One nice way to, yes, correct. Because for some, what we really want to do, for example, is to take data from Pandas and pump it to a neural network in TensorFlow and do some magic. So yeah, I think this will be a very good move for us in the future. That's how it goes. This is very new. This only announced today, actually. So anything interesting on your side?
Interesting one. I think they are filled with.
I think. I mean, we have Pycon next month, but that's another story.
Let's see. Nothing much. Oh, and the one that is fresh today was let me check it. It's very low effort for me. The satellite, the Black Sky latest satellite.
Oh, Black Sky Network is up. Yes. Yeah. It launched within 3 days. It actually got image. Black Sky is actually
more satellite imagery is good.
Yes. Previously, one of the few provider for this is actually. I'm going to open the link on my tab now. One of the third-party provider for satellite image is actually from Planet Lab.
I heard babies.
Yeah, that's from my end. Sorry.
Okay, it's fine.
So this is actually the image that you can see. So it's not your traditional satellite image like those by satellite. This is actually using a Cubesat, right? This is actually using a Cubesat. So Planet Lab have their own version called Dove. So it can get higher level. But if let's say you're only interested you do not need to zoom into a house. This is actually adequate, and it's actually cheaper. This is actually cheaper in theory because traditional satellite image is actually very expensive. So all the things that you saw from Google is actually paid for by Google and given to you. And if you want something up to date, all that very expensive. So having this technology, a cheaper version for us is awesome because we do not need that much detail actually. I must paste that. I'm sorry. So anything else?
Not much of a good news, so I'm gonna skip them.
Yeah, we don't have.
Is that one password support on Linux is last week or this week? Last week. Okay.
Correct.
Then nothing much. No good news for me.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing interesting. Then there's Apec game and Apple that will come when it come lah.
And also the thing with Oculus as well.
Yes.
Right. Facebook asking to sign in Oculus. It's interesting.
Yeah, we're supposed to not talk about it. I don't want to talk about it.
Oh, okay, that's not good news. Okay, fair enough.
It's not good news.
So let's start with Ivy. Ivy, let's introduce yourself with more detail.
Yeah, don't get spooked.
Hi, I'm Ivy. I am the chairperson for Pycon Apec 2020, and this year the Pycon is going online. Well, you guessed it right. You know why is it going online? Because that the COVID-19, and then we are not able to host a big group of gathering. A bit about myself is why I am organizing Pycon is because I got myself into this community because I would like to kind of like force myself to pick up my programming skill again, and I choose Python to do it again. Right. What I say again is because I have actually left the scene of coding for more than a decade, and I pretty much take a U-turn and come back and want to do it again, and ended up organizing Pycon for these 2 years, and probably would be helping still for next year. And I ended up finding out from other Pycon organizers that most of the time the organizer are the person who doing less coding by themselves anyway.
Yeah.
And but anyway, organizing that is a very good experience because I find that like, it helps me to understand the community and what Python can do, and it actually to kind of like bring me towards why I'm coming to this community. Yeah, and of course I would like to say that like the PyCon is coming soon in a few weeks. We're gonna do it in 12th to 20th September. It sounds a long time, but we're going to do it over 2 weekends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 weekends. That's actually a lot of. Okay. So how does the 2 weekend conference work?
Okay. Well, at first, like we are thinking of like still hosting it on the 19th and 20th, just like what it's supposed to be held in Kota Kinabalu, Sabah initially before all things happen. Then because of suddenly these things happen and we have to move it online because we do not want to leave it like no PyCon Apec for this year. So we decided that like, okay, we're still going to host it online. Then when we want to host it online, a bit of a challenge and a bit of an advantage is also because you literally can run the show like 24 hours as well. Or you can run it concurrently, like of course in the physical one that like we can still run it concurrently. But what we're thinking is like we do not want to have like only talks, which we usually do in normal PyCon, because a lot of the talks, right, is when you are having it in person, there will be interactions with the audience, and the audience can ask questions, and the speaker can answer, and a lot of the conference, because they have to turn it around in a short time and they need to do a recorded one. And I find that like there is less interactions between the participants. Having it online is already having like a really distance between the participants already. So we decided to have like panel discussions and tutorial rather than talks. And because we are doing that, and the topics are generally suitable for everybody. And we kind of like think we do not want to let anybody have to choose between which one to have to go.
Okay.
So that's the reason that like, we have it over 2 weekends. And another thing that like is quite different that like we're trying to do is we also invite the Pythonista around the world to share a bit about themselves other than their coding life. For example, if they like to do photography, send it a short video of their work, and we are going to show it in between sessions. So just something fun that like we want to inject it in. So you guys can send in anything that like fun you want to share with us as well.
Right. Okay. So the conference will be 2 weeks from, what's the date again?
12th and 13th September, and then 19th and 20th September.
Okay, so it will be on the weekend and weekdays.
No, weekends. 2 Saturday and
it's all weekend. Okay, 2 Saturdays. Okay. Any focus of the conference this year? Because usually we have actually a conference.
We do not. Well, at the very beginning, when we start to plan for the actual PyCon, we do. But later on, when we move, we actually do not have a particular theme for it now. Yeah.
Okay. Fast, any question you want to add on
So I'm curious, a couple of things. You mentioned about the format, which was interesting. The fact that you want to make this into a panel and you're inviting Pythonistas. I'm assuming some of the folks are in different time zones, right? Some of the people who are part of the panels. How exactly are you looking at bringing them all together at the same time?
Headache.
Okay.
But yeah, because a different time zone. But well, developers, we kind of like work in like odd hours, luckily. So that ended up is not too much of a problem, but it does have a little bit of problem. But so far, so good. Yeah. And I think they do understand. Most of them, they are quite happy to accommodate as well, because it's probably only about an hour, and it happens like once in a blue moon kind of things. Yeah, so far I'm glad that like they are all quite accommodating.
Okay. So is there a specific platform you're planning to use for this, or is it going to be like a mix of YouTube and other things?
We are going to use like the Microsoft Teams for the live event, especially for the panels and the talks. And we're going to use Meets as well for the tutorial and such. So that would be a mixed platform. Yeah.
Okay. So anyone who's joining in would have to use Teams to get in. Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, it's quite easy to use. It's web-based anyway. So.
Okay.
So we cover platform. Okay. So what kind of talk we can expect this year?
Actually quite various, like something that like, because we are not going to have a keynote speech for this year, so we kind of like we bring the keynote speakers that we plan to invite together into a main panel that is going to talk about like the future patterns that they think there will be for Python. And we're going to have we have a hackathon. We plan for a hackathon, and the hackathon will be quite different as well. That it's gonna run for 2 weeks as well. It's very rare that you see a hackathon that way. That like is usually hackathon is very short, like 24 hours and that. So we're going to run for a different format this year, and so we're going to have a talk talking about how to score in hackathon. We're inviting people that are very experienced in hackathon, like to be in a hackathon and or run hackathon before, to talk about, to give some tips to them. And we do have topics about smart home, about single board computers, and we do have topic talking about open source, because I think that like open source is something that the way to go, and how we're going to like take advantage of the open source. So you can see things, the topic can vary quite a bit, and it's not only talking very technically, but the other aspect of the technical side as well.
Okay. Go on. I'm going fast.
Yeah. So I noticed that you haven't mentioned any of the speakers yet over here, but I did remember seeing a thread somewhere about GUIDO coming soon.
Yes.
So is that a surprise package? Did I just open it up? Sorry.
Oh, no. We actually have already announced it. We're going to have GUIDO come in as a special interview. Well, when I just trying to think who the speakers are other than the keynotes that like we already, the main panel that we already know. Most of the speaker we pick it up from the earlier on paper course we have as well. And I'm also thinking that who else we can bring in. I said that, why don't we just bring in GUIDO? And at the very beginning, we thought that for a lot of quite popular people in, they will have like a lot of emails coming to their inbox every day. Probably when I just send the email in, right, just in the next seconds, right, my email might just go into the bottom. So I kind of think that, okay, I'm not sure that I'm going to get a reply. But he replied almost in less than 24 hours and say yes to us. So that is a surprise to me. So yes, he is coming in on the 12th of September and on the very first sessions.
Cool. So so it'll be an interview about Python and all that, right?
Well, I think that like if you think about you asked about the theme for our PyCon this time, we don't really have one, but looking at like the topic we bring and such, I would say that like it's quite balanced. So the interview questions, it would be quite about Python as well as not about Python. We're looking at like quite a balanced one. So you could get some.
Actually, okay. Finish this. I will ask again.
Okay, so you could expect some maybe interesting questions that not Python related from GUIDO, maybe about his thinking. Yeah.
So will you be actually sourcing question from the community, or it be something that you prepared.
We will take questions during the interview. Like, it's not only going to be like interviewing him from us, but we are going to invite for questions from the floor. Yeah. So do come and have your questions and shoot away.
Yes. It's not often for the local community to actually talk to someone like the creator of the Python programming language.
Yeah.
So it's actually a rare opportunity, right? So you, whoever would do, please join the conference if you can. So I know, and a big disclaimer, I'm one of the early founders of Pycon, so I have my reason to do that. So
you'll get the right to ask the first question, sorry.
All right.
Yeah.
So we have. So I noticed. Okay, shit. I lost my chain of thought. Are there other question from you? Any question online? No. So
except for this one, except this comment on Teams.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a mixed thing, but I think we can work it out. It's fine.
Well, we definitely would have like guides and something. We are actually testing it also. Why the reason that like we choose Teams is because for live event, we after going through a few, we find that like they give us I'm not like speaking on behalf of them. It's purely on my view. Is for live streaming, we do think that they let us to schedule our stuff, and there is some features that we find that is quite useful for the organizer point of view. We do understand that I do have the same issue when I first start to use Teams as well, but whatever they can offer seems to convince us over that.
Right. Yeah. And using the right tool for whatever works, right? You're doing a panel talk, it's going to be a little different kind of a format.
Yes.
I've been just putting it out there. If anyone is interested in doing their own conferences, there are different ways to do it. I attended a conference by Serverless Amsterdam. I think it was 2-3 months ago. What they did was they used something like StreamYard and OBS, and they used Discord. So Discord is a chat server which usually gamers use, but now it's gaining a lot of popularity among non-gamers. So what they did was they had the live streaming happening on Twitch through OBS and other things, and they used Discord simultaneously for any conversations happening. And so what they did was they created for every talk, they created a room, and you could go in over there and post your questions when the talk is going on. And once the talk is done, the speaker continues to stay in that room so that you can continue asking further questions. And it was a pretty interesting outlook, because I never thought of using a chat server in that angle before. So I've seen that happen, and so yeah, definitely. I mean, we would want to see how this would pan out, and definitely use this as a template in the future. Because the more tools, the more confusing it becomes on how to get started.
Yeah.
Also. Yeah.
Actually, it does sounds that way at the very beginning. We do actually research on quite a few, and ended up that we go with Teams. So far the only reason is because of what I have mentioned earlier on. But I think every tools does have their own like the strong points of it, and it just depends on which one fits you. And I won't say that there will be other out there as well. It's just that everything is so new for us that hosting this online, everything is almost like a trial, and we just try to and the fear of hosting it, right? It is so very real now, as it's less than a month away. I do feel that would there be nobody comes and then I do not know what to say to the speaker, that I could not bring audience to them, and then they're so nice to just agree to speak for us. And would that be any technical failure? Okay, I'm gonna touch wood. Anything is gonna happen. And for the hackathon, talking about the hackathon, I'm also worried that if there's any nobody's gonna join, and I still having the fear that whether I'm gonna get sponsor for it. And if any sponsor, willing sponsor out there, we are still looking for a sponsor, especially for the hackathon. The hackathon is going to be about like, I'm gonna do some advertisement here. The hackathon is going to be talking about like, you know, transportation. So yeah, so it's not only the company about technology can come to us, but yeah, all these fees are so real.
Right. So yeah.
I'm going to ask about what's other challenge on organizing this online, and what's the difference between organizing the conference offline versus online? Because not everything is online, meaning I can imagine that some are easier in a way that the venue is easy. But you don't need to give people t-shirt, right?
I mean, it's interesting because you bring everyone together in a venue, they kind of know what to do over there. Now it's kind of like, now you're going to bring everyone into a room and everyone's like, okay, what am I supposed to do? Should I switch on my cam? Should I not switch on my cam?
You see that people might thought that like, you know, actually now going online is easier because anybody just can join it anytime. But again, the fear, would they forget to come? Are they going to like overslap? And because like people are at a different time zone, sometimes it's a bit difficult. But when they're at the venue itself, sometimes you know which room they are at. You can just go and knock at their door. But now they're literally like 1,000 miles away, and like I will be able to reach them like just to knock on their door. So this kind of thing have been running at my head.
Right. So one bigger challenge is less toward the logistics. It's more toward making sure people actually come. This way, you charge me 20 ringgit for the ticket.
Oh, okay, yeah. If you think that like there's no good news, right? Like Leong said for recently that one of the good news for this is I'm gonna bring you is the ticket for Pycon.my this year is only 20 ringgit. Well, that's this. What we kind of like in dilemma at the very beginning because at this pandemic start, a lot of conferences actually go online and then give it out free.
Yeah.
And then we are running all this, right? Even though online, technically saying, you might say that the cost is lesser, but it doesn't spend less time to prepare it. And if we have it free, we do think that like we want to gauge the people who coming in. So charging a nominal fee is kind of like indications for people that like that is the commitment there. Because everybody do put in their time in making this done, and then we always have the audience interest in mind that like what kind of topic can be benefit for them, and what kind of topic would bring interest in them, rather than just come in. It's just another conference. Yeah.
Go first.
I'll just add this thing. It's more of a wish list of mine. I think one of the things I wanted to see is if there's a section for lightning talks and how we would do that. I would be curious to see if there's a way to just jump in and give a 5-minute talk before I'm pulled out.
Actually, this has been like kind of like briefly mentioned. I must say that like not everything is being fixed, especially the schedule, because I'm still waiting for some confirmations and whether some speaker can make it at a certain time. Right. But lightning talk is always some like kind of like one of the things that people are looking forward for during any Pycon conference, especially as I understand. Yep. We do thought of that, but I wouldn't be able to say that like how we're gonna squeeze it in at this moment though. Yeah. Probably you have to watch our Facebook and our Twitter, and then we'll announce that when it comes up and how we're gonna do it. Yeah.
Cool. So, how many talks can we expect this year?
We do have, off my head, we have 12 tutorials. Yeah. And one of the tutorials is going to happen even earlier on the 5th September. That is like Python 101. Okay. For people who come to PyCon, most likely they're going to be like, no, Python is not something new for them. Why they need a Python 101, right? basically, this is the tutorial for everybody, not just anybody that like coming to the Pycon. So we're gonna do it like a week earlier on, just to kind of like want to introduce to everybody. So anybody who interested to find out about Python or start to want to come to be a developer, this is a sessions that like good for everybody. So that is the reason why we do that like a day earlier on. Other than that, we do have like 12 topics of tutorial, and then about 7 topics of the panel discussions. And then we do have about 4 talks.
Yep.
So that would cover the 4 days.
Wow, that is actually pretty full.
Yeah, it's packed. It's a packed schedule. Yeah.
Yeah. It's quite quite packed, and it's a bit of like a dilemma. Sometimes you whether want to spread it or you want to join it all together. Because when you spread it, you worry you lose the crowd also. Yeah.
Totally understand. So we have we cover number of talk, we cover the man. I just forget about what the cover. So what else do we have? So I heard that for the conference, it's mostly a new crew. Am I correct?
Quite a number of them. Actually, I know them from last year committee as well. And thank you very much. I have to say thank you for the committee members, because they work quite tirelessly, especially towards like these few weeks. And everybody is like no clue what we're supposed to do. We just learn as we go. But quite, I would say that like more than 50% are from last year as well.
Right. Okay. So.
We lost you though.
I'm sorry, I've been doing this for 10 years. I'm doing it close to 10 years.
Yeah, thank you for the seniors that like, we still have the community now.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So for among the speakers, do we have mostly speakers and panels? Do we have mostly locals, or do we have someone that actually are upstream contributors from overseas? Do we have a ratio, or just mostly? Just give me mostly. Is it mostly from overseas?
Mostly at the Apec region. Mostly at the Apec region.
Right. Okay. So we expect more people from outside to give more of the experience back here.
Yeah, I mean, so far I would say if it's like outside of Apec, probably about 20 to 30%.
Okay.
Yeah, the rest is from this. The rest mostly from this region. Yeah.
Right. So, which is actually a bit different than the last year's Pycon. I mean, previously our Pycon is mostly locals because one, we are lazy as hell, but mostly because we also want to showcase what locals can do. So, but yeah, I think this is a good move. It's also a good thing because why not? We can learn from as many people as possible, and that's my rule. So.
Yep. I mean, definitely having a lot of the local community in would add that flavor. I remember 2019 when I was there, just sitting on the side recording.
Yeah.
Right. For two days, just having all these people come and share about how Python's being used in Malaysia was pretty amazing. It was eye-opening for me.
Yeah.
Because I used to think Python is still something other than data science, and and now in ML, it's not mainstream. And then I still.
So the point is, that exists. So that's why we've been doing this for past few years, attempting local speaker. So one of the things that we want to show is that it's not Malaysian bullet spirit. It's just that I know you guys can do it, right? So that's why. But another direction is not a bad thing because we can always take a new opinion and all that. So yeah, I think it's cool. I think it's actually pretty cool that you guys do that. So online spread 2 days. I'm so sorry, I can't think of anything right now. Let's see whether we have other conference. Haha, Brian. Hey, snake. Yes. Python. So now that we have, yeah, this is important. Will the session be recorded?
Yes,
Yeah.
the session will be recorded and will be shared afterward.
Yep.
Most likely in YouTube. We haven't decided that which channel we're going to share and when we're going to share it out. But it's not going to be shared a year later. But we're going to share it pretty soon. But we just haven't have a fixed date and the channels yet. Yeah.
Right. So that it'll be something that when we're going to find the YouTube channel for Pycon.
Okay,
never mind that. We can go, but go on first. Since we already asked the question.
No, because like this year Pycon, if you realize that the channel we're sharing the information is actually out from Pycon.my Facebook and such, because it's hosted by Pycon.my. We do not actually specifically create a page or anything for Pycon Apec. Actually, it's just totally by the hosting country.
Okay. So the next one is Hackathon. I think this is the one that I keep forgetting to ask. The Hackathon, what's the team? What's the team for the Hackathon? Is there a team? What's the end goal for the Hackathon? All that.
Okay, the Hackathon is this year. The theme is Python on the go. Basically, it's talking about the transportations. The end goal is to create something that to show that where is your transportations and how the status is and such, anything related to that. And we invite anybody to come and join the Hackathon. And though that we're still looking for sponsor for it, and actually the main objective for this Hackathon is we hope to create something that we are not just doing it for the Hackathon, or we are just attending the tutorial just for this 1 hour and more. We hope that from this Hackathon, the project or the brand child of the group can actually bring to something fruitful. So we're actually really looking for something, the MVP, and we really hope that there'll be sponsors that interested in getting something out of it to come and look for us for that. And just strangely enough, I'm not the person who come up with the topic of this Hackathon, and I never shared this before. When I still was a programmer years ago before this, the program that I actually did is about tracking the vehicle as well, where it went and when it's supposed to do the service and what have been changed and all this thing. It just suddenly brings back all the memories when I was doing all this coding, and that's my kind of major program that I did. Such a coincidence.
So okay, so is this a Pycon only thing, or is it a problem that involve the sponsor and all that? I know you don't have sponsor yet, but is there organization that actually approach you on the solution comes up from the Pycon, or actually want to collaborate because of the potential solution from the hackathon?
Actually, no. When we decided to have the hackathon, we have Kinabalu coders from Sabah. They take up the task to organize this hackathon, and then they come up with the topic without having a sponsor. No, that's something I feel that it's such a bold thing for us to do. Is we decided to have it without having a sponsor yet, and we are now calling out a sponsor. There's many times that it ran in my mind whether this should be continued, but since we have decided on it, me and the team don't really want to give up not trying. Yeah.
Okay. So any expected price from me? Not that I join.
Anything.
Suck at hackathon. So with this hackathon will be something for price based, or will it be something will it be something just for breaking rights? I don't know. What do we expect to win from that?
Yeah, that's something that my fear is all about. the things that like if purely my motivation is to have everybody come together and you find the partner that you can work with to come up with the project that can continue. And at this moment, I wouldn't be able to tell what's the price is, and we try to figure out something from sponsor that we can get. And after that, well, we will definitely try to put something there, but we just could not tell anything. I know that it's hard. It's hard for us to go and tell them like, come enjoy the hackathon, and then but there is no prize yet. But I say we still want to have it go on and try our best to put something there.
Okay.
I mean, you definitely get flexing rights in this if you do the hackathon, right? The fact that you did if I'm a person who's coding on this, I would say, hey, I did it for Pycon Malaysia, Pycon Apec, which was supposed to happen in KK. So I'm going to go next year for sure. So this year, at least, definitely, I'm going to do this so that I get a badge for 2020. So I could just get a simple sticker or a badge saying that at least you did it virtually, right? Yeah, I mean, but that's what I'm thinking for. Yeah, that's another one of my wish lists.
Okay. Well, we can think of it. Well, earlier on, we do have this thinking that like, we are inviting the speakers. Do we still want to send them like T-shirts and badges, something like this as well? But thinking about how to set it out and such, and how to like print a small amount and such. And we have put off that idea after discussing it for a while. But of course, sometimes all this thing is back to the money talk as well.
True. Fair point.
Just a kind of virtual page that is definitely can be done.
Right. So here's a shout out to everyone who's watching right now, right? If you have a company or if you're in a company who wants to sponsor this hackathon, please do it so that at least I can get a prize. That's number one. And number two, if you have a sponsor who is willing to invest maybe some time in understanding what problem they want to solve related to transportation, do bring that problem into the hackathon so that we could solve it for them. I think that'll make a lot of sense. So shout out to everyone, because I can see a couple of people I know over here, and I know they all have the caliber to actually do that. So do look into that. You have some time for that, and reach out to Ivy if you have anything.
Yeah. Anytime. Thank you very much.
No worries.
Yes. So let's move on to another topic, which is what's the difference between? I know the answer, but I assume most people do not know. What's the difference between Pycon Apec and Pycon Malaysia?
It's in the Malaysia and Apec. So Pycon Malaysia is basically involve only Malaysia, but though we still invite like people from around the world. But Pycon Apec basically we involve everybody from the Apec region. Even though that like now we are hosting it, but actually we do have like volunteers coming from different countries. We have volunteers coming from Philippines, and we have a committee from Taiwan. We have helps from. We even have like helps volunteering coming from the States. I mean, like, he is Malaysian, but he has been like staying in the States. So we do have like a more wide range of like committees coming from different countries, especially around the Apec region.
Right. So so this year is Malaysia. The Apec will be done by us this year, next year, or it be someone else. I know the answer.
We do not know. I think that like we do not know, because it's all depends on the Apec committee. But next year we are, if God's willing, we are going to still have it in Sabah, Kota Kinabalu. This is how it's supposed to be done. And if it happens, do come to Sabah, Kota Kinabalu. Is a nice place to be.
I want to go to Sabah actually. There's a Japan vacation plan.
I mean, I was planning for this because I've never been to Sabah, so definitely next year.
We have some wild idea as well that like to have like maybe sprint in some island or something like you take that vacations and like a hacking together at like leisure. Just that I don't know whether you you still have the concentration to do that or not when you add such a nice scenery of beaches.
Fair point. Fair point.
So conference covered. I'm sorry, I was a bit tired about this. Any question from your side?
I think I'm good because I'm kind of like I'm getting more excited to attend this next month. Chinang is here. So the idea.
I have a question. Assuming just did all the good ones.
Oh, okay.
And I think the link for the tickets, the Facebook and the Twitter is all in the comment, like earlier on, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
do go ahead and check it out. It's
so
we have
I assume that.
Sorry.
I assume that since it's online, we don't have a seat limit there.
No. No.
So join us. I think the conference organizer can accommodate you. I think you guys can. I think the network can handle you guys. So do join. So let's go to a bit off topic a bit. How does it like to actually run a conference community for once you left the field a long time ago? So this is offset the conference.
Yeah, I don't think that it make a difference that I have like left the programming or the developer scenes for a long time. You know, those times when I was still coding, we don't call ourselves developer. That's how old I am. So I don't think that like that is any difference because organizing it is more of an organizing skill, I think, and I did kind of like join organizing conference quite a number of times when I was a Toastmasters. So I kind of like think that I kind of bring in that skills rather than like the only thing that I need to learn is like, you know, a Pycon is so much different than the conference is. The focus is so much different. It's more on tech and such. So that's the only thing that like I need to learn when I start helping out like last year. And though I still did not touch on code so much, I did a bit, but not so much. But by organizing it and knowing that like, you know, what is going on, what is new about Python, it actually helped me to understand much more about the language.
So they feel like stranger at a strange land when you join.
Yes, at the very beginning, yes. But now it's much better. I mean, it's like I know how it goes.
I mean, last year it was different for you, and this year also again it's different because everything changed. So.
yeah. But both years are the same thing. Is like, you know, we organize it totally online. I mean, it's like I have never met any other committee until the day of the Pycon last year as well. So everything we done is I never. So the only thing the same is like that's the only same thing.
Pycon Malaysia tradition, yes. So it's a Pycon Malaysia tradition that we almost never meet everyone until the day before. We rarely meet because as we figure out along the way, we realize that you only need a few things. We need to make sure things are reached, so you can order online through email and make sure the address is right. Literally, the only time you actually need things is to be on the spot and wait things to come. Right, that's the only thing. And the real thing that I would definitely miss from this conference is that all the food, because one of the things I found is that every year we get good food. We try to give good food.
The last Apec one was really good.
Yes, really good.
So
it's also very expensive. But it's very good. I'm kind of proud of that. So
the fun story is that you sacrifice the budget for providing internet
yes,
to make the food better. I
yes.
think that's the story. That was the story.
Yeah. That's actually the story for it.
And
Because
surprisingly, if you don't provide internet access, nobody complains as well.
Because people are used to it already. They know that the internet's going to be flaky whichever way you see.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
the food
fair
was
point.
really good.
yes.
Well, the food going to be in Sabah is going to be good too. So come next year.
Yeah, totally. I mean, so I've heard.
Yeah.
So I've heard. I have to go next year. No matter
Yeah.
what happens, whether
Yeah.
COVID, whatever, I'm going to swim there. It doesn't
Cool.
matter.
You can
I
swim.
haven't
Okay.
seen that.
I need to
This is live
document.
on YouTube, right? Okay.
I need to. It's live on 3 platforms. Facebook. I actually shared it on the Facebook group as well. So and there's apparently a lot of people that know fast here. So we can organize a boat trip, accompanying fast swimming across the I don't know what's the sea, the South China Sea.
South China Sea.
Wow.
Yeah,
Oh, that's perfect. Unless
Sabah, yeah.
unless a battleship picks me up. Okay. Yeah.
I'm gonna have my popcorn while fast is like.
Wow. Thanks.
I
Appreciate
probably
it.
wave like from the airplane.
Oh yeah, why not? I'll just ride a satellite. I heard we are releasing some satellites soon.
You just made it so more interesting.
So I just want to go to a conference with orangutan, but they just
That was pretty
okay.
cool.
I'm actually on a question. Anything you want us to know about the conference that we missed actually?
Anything you feel like want to tell us about?
Anything to look out for? Yeah, anything to be
is
excited
going
about.
to the conference is going to be fun, so make sure you come. Yep, that and come and have fun. Yep, then I'll see you there.
Okay. She's not gonna talk anymore. Like just
No, I mean,
just join up.
I have mentioned pretty much whatever that I need to mention. I just don't want to be like a broken record. That I keep repeating.
Apparently, we also broke a record that we finished the topic on time. So we have some time left. So yeah, let's fill it in. We have 10 more minutes. So anything. I don't have any questions. Swimming asked all the essential ones. Yeah.
Well,
anything you want to know from us about conference? That you want to know from us? Consider this a market research while you're on it.
Market research, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
We are nerds, right?
What are the things that you're looking for this online Pycon conference that I haven't mentioned? Maybe you have
bottomless coffee.
Swag.
You definitely can have coffee. The only thing that I might not be able to make it for you.
One of the things that one of my problem with online conference is actually one thing that people keep forgetting about real life conference is that it's easy to break out of a conference. Oh yeah, this is important. Let's put it here first. It's easy to break out.
Yeah. Sorry.
So, one thing about our conference is that we are so chinsai. If you hate the talk, you can just walk out with a friend and talk to your friend. And the meat of the event in the conference is actually not about the talk itself. Often it's the work. If you go for a talk, you do conference the wrong way. The value of conference is a few things. One, you're networking with your friend, you're catching up with your friend. For KL, it's a bit of a waste of time because we meet each other every time. But the second one is more important. Speakers come here and you want to talk to them. You want to dig their head. That's the main one actually. That's how I meet the author of Two Scoops of Django. Very good author.
Audrey.
Audrey and Daniel. I met them in Singapore. Interesting people. So the whole thing is you talk to them because they're here and you learn from them, even you hear from them. That's the value of the conference actually. Everything else is bonus.
Correct.
So
correct.
yeah,
I totally
so that's
agree with you.
Go on.
I totally agree with you. You know, at the very beginning, I did propose to have something like a networking sessions, like for the participants, because knowing who come is very important to me, and this is one of the reasons why that like we suggest we want to do more tutorial and panel talk, and that is at least there's some sort of like interactions there. And what outside of the talk, we actually do hope that there will be interactions between the participants, between themselves as well. Of course, there is some, in such a short time, we do have some difficulties in terms of getting that done. I saw some like a conference done very well for that, and I do get to talk to the people who attended. Just randomly, I just talked to somebody randomly and ended up with quite happy conversations. There's some thought in my head that like, you know, probably we can do it like more randomly. I was thinking of like using something like maybe a mural for people to just at least chat to each other. We're not sure yet, because like as of now, I think one of our team member, Nagi, just now have shout out for volunteers. We do need some more volunteers even until now to try to build as much of features as possible to add on value for everybody.
Yep.
Like one that like streaming you have mentioned is something that like I find when I go to conference, it's really the people that I want to meet.
So
I mean, so on that part which you mentioned about you still need volunteers. How do you sign up? How does someone sign up?
Come to me. Just come to me. Yeah. I think that like there's a few ways to get to me. Well, if you're on Telegram, my handle is Ivy Fung 8. You can always get to me on Telegram. I'll just put it here. Or my Twitter, I go by Ivy Fung as well. So, or you can just go to the our Pycon.my Facebook, leave a message, and then I will get back to you as well.
Yep.
And
awesome.
Or you can search for me in LinkedIn. Yeah.
So, and here's as a former founder, one of the early founder of Pycon, give you a reason why you should volunteer for conference. Here's one: you got free food. Here's second: you got free talk. And here's the last one. The last one that is very important. Again, access to the speaker and all that from before the actual talk itself. Because on the conference day, the speaker will be swamped. He'll be swamped by everyone that want to ask questions. Take the opportunity. Right. I think when we actually go to university and ask for student, one of the things that student did not actually get is that student did not actually the opportunity, which I feel really sad, is that the conference is there. You can learn from them, right? So that's another story. But do join in this way. That's how I got my job, by the way. In a way, because in conference people know I do my thing and all that. So, and also one last thing is if you can give talk, maybe it's too late this year, maybe for next year, consider give talk about Python. You do not need to be extremely skillful. One of the big mistake that we do for the past few years is that we keep the most hardcore topic, and everybody was thinking that you need to have the hardcore topic, because if I'm not learning anything, what's the point? Well, here's the point. You need to grow new people. You cannot keep having the top. You cannot keep having the top people without growing the new people to the top, right? Trees grows from seeds. If you're just going to have all the big trees around, you're not going to get new trees. That's my view.
There you go, everyone. Wisdom from streaming. Yeah.
Yes.
Whoever's on the call right now. I mean, that's important, right? Because you always start with the more advanced you go in talks, and you keep having advanced talks, the more you alienate anyone new who joins. So you want to always have that balance, and the conference is a good place to have that balance. Yeah,
yeah, definitely.
Because
And it's not
really love.
Mhm.
Yeah, I really
no,
love
go
to
ahead.
see. I really love to see the new people from the data science side to actually share their not maybe not they don't consider wisdom, maybe their adventure, right? A mistake they make, what they see, why Python doesn't work for them, why Python works for them, what we can do better. So one of the things is that perspective. So not group think.
right.
So yeah, that's me.
So all those data science people in the crowd right now, yeah, you know what to do next.
Yes. So yeah, that's all from me, lah. That's for me in general.
Okay. Cool.
Chilean, you're muted.
I've been talking to the air. So if we have no question from the crowd, then we should wrap up. And thank you, Ivy, for being here
Thank you
with
for
us.
giving me the time.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Very good one. A very good sharing.
Yeah.
So I hope like we say this every time. I hope we have another session to talk about other things. So yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
You invite, I come.
Yes. And I'm also final disclaimer. I have a session on the conference. That's all.
Yep. Come and hear out swimming.
Yes. So I'll meet you on the conference. So that's all.
I think that's about it. Good night, folks.
Don't leave soon.
Good night.
Yeah. So just go.